The Invincible universe is filled with powerful, brutal, and terrifying characters, but few are as ruthless and feared as Conquest, one of the most dangerous Viltrumites to ever exist. His story is one of violence, destruction, and relentless battle. From his origins on Viltrum to his brutal fights with Invincible, Conquest left a trail of devastation wherever he went. So today we're breaking down the full history of Conquest. Buckle up, because this is going to get intense. Conquest was born on the planet Viltrum, home to the most powerful race of warriors in the universe. Like all Viltrumites, he was raised to conquer planets and enforce the will of the Viltrum Empire. But what set Conquest apart was his sheer brutality and love for battle. While other Viltrumites followed orders for the sake of their empire, Conquest fought simply because he enjoyed it. He didn't just conquer worlds, he destroyed them. At one point in history, the Viltrumites were hit by a deadly disease known as the Scourge virus. This virus was designed to wipe out their species, and it was extremely effective. The Viltrumites lost most of their population, leaving only a few survivors. Conquest was one of them. However, even after he recovered from the virus, he found himself weaker than before. He was no longer the unstoppable force he once was. Not long after, Conquest ended up on a planet inhabited by a monstrous species known as the Ragnar. We don't know exactly how he got there, but what we do know is that the Ragnar gave him a serious fight. These creatures were strong enough to tear apart even a Viltrumite like Conquest. They ripped off his right arm, permanently scarred his face, and even blinded him in one eye. But even after all of that, Conquest survived. He refused to die. He replaced his missing arm with a cybernetic one and continued serving the Viltrum Empire. Fast forward to the aftermath of the Invincible War. Mark Grayson, also known as Invincible, had just fought an army of his evil counterparts from alternate dimensions. Cities were in ruins, thousands were dead, and Mark was mentally exhausted. That's when Conquest arrived. Conquest was sent to check on Mark's progress in conquering Earth for the Viltrum Empire. Of course, Mark had no intention of doing that, so Conquest gave him an ultimatum: take over Earth or die. Mark refused, and the fight was on. And let me tell you, this fight was brutal. Conquest wasn't like other Viltrumites Mark had fought. He didn't just fight to win, he fought to enjoy himself. He easily overpowered Mark, smashing him through buildings, pummeling him without mercy, and laughing the entire time. Even when Mark fought back with everything he had, Conquest just kept coming. It seemed like nothing could stop him. Just when things looked hopeless, Mark's younger brother Oliver tried to help, but he was completely outmatched. Conquest broke his arm and nearly ripped him in half before Mark saved him. Then, Adam Eve entered the fight. Eve used her powers to trap Conquest, but he broke free and impaled her right in front of Mark. It was one of the most shocking moments in the entire series. Seeing Eve nearly die pushed Mark over the edge. Fueled by pure rage, he went berserk. He bit into Conquest's body, tore out chunks of his flesh, and repeatedly bashed his head in. Even after Conquest broke Mark's hand and his leg, Mark wouldn't stop. Eventually, Mark headbutted Conquest so hard that he finally went unconscious. It was over, or so they thought. After the battle, the Global Defense Agency locked Conquest in a massive prison in the Mojave Desert, but this wasn't the end of him. He fully healed from his injuries, broke free, and returned to space. He reported back to the Viltrumite leader Thrag, who gave him one final mission: kill Invincible, his father Omni-Man, and anyone else who stood against the Empire. During the Viltrumite War, Conquest returned for a final battle against Mark. And this time, he wasn't holding back. He tore through the Coalition's forces and went straight for Mark. The fight was just as brutal as before, but this time, Mark had a plan. He grabbed Conquest and wouldn't let go. No matter how hard Conquest punched, no matter how much damage he took, Mark held on and suffocated Conquest to death. It was finally over. Even after everything Conquest had done, Omni-Man chose to bury him out of respect. Despite being a bloodthirsty monster, Conquest was one of the greatest warriors the Viltrumite Empire had ever seen. And in the end, even his enemies recognized that. And that's the full story of Conquest, a warrior who lived and died for battle, and one of the deadliest threats Invincible ever faced. What do you think? Was Conquest the most brutal villain in the Invincible universe? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of Invincible. See you next time.